Hey Buzz, it's a 2-point game with about 4 minutes to go, and was it even especially gratifying to see your guys make the plays after Saturday, to make that response?
Sure. Yeah, I think we've had so many reps. That was our 10th rep of playing in a 1 or 2 possession game out of our 21 games, and I think our guys are very accepting of the thin margin that this league has turned into, and the preparation that we had in November and December. And it's not always going to have the appropriate result. We failed on Saturday. We're disappointed in ourselves. I for sure need to do a better job. But 4 days before and multiple other times, I think we've done good. And so we're thankful for how it transpired tonight for sure.
Down the stretch, Andy had some Andy plays there. Did it seem like he kind of found that spark again in this game?
It's just so unbelievable. Statistically, after 7 SEC games, I think he was averaging 3.3 points, maybe slightly more than that, but under 4 rebounds. And, I just mentioned on radio, I understand 4's stat line, but there's something about, regardless of if he's doing superlative things, there's some level of intangible piece when he plays to our team. And I think our players would say the same thing about Andy. Just does things when the ball is on the ground that you're like, yeah, that's perfect. And then he does things when the ball is in the air that he just impacts winning in a way that statistically it doesn't speak to. But as you know, like analytically, he's our second best player. And that's so hard to overcome when your stats are as minimal as his is. But those analytics, that's why it's good intel, is does he impact winning? And when you look at our groupings and how we try to play, specific to tonight's obviously obscure because 2 guys didn't play, but I've never seen anything like it in my career. Never coached anybody like that, and have never seen that in preparation for an opponent. Somebody that impacts winning, and you're like, hey, averages 2 shots a game, And I thought he and multiple other guys, considering all that transpired tonight, were just ginormous.
Considering the inconsistency.
Say it one more time. I'm
Considering the
sorry.
inconsistency at the free throw line a lot of this year, what was the key then to turning that around?
We hired a new coach that was in charge of free throw shooting, and we're going to try to see if we can get him an extension and maybe a double-year contract or something. And we appreciate it. Those points, as you guys know, particularly in the first half, but even to close the game, as you mentioned, I don't know what the total number was. I haven't been able to glance at this. Yeah, it'll still be awful, but maybe we won't be in last place when we wake up tomorrow as at 83% with 29 points. I know we've done some of that in years past, but that's probably the first time we've done it this year at that rate and at that volume. So that's great. I thought the other thing that was a difference maker was it was the highest defensive rebounding percentage we've ever had at Texas A&M, 90-something percent, I think, 93%. And then our offensive rebound percentage was 55. And so that always is math that bends our way. And I thought Henry, Gochi, Andy, and all of us from a defensive rebounding standpoint, for them to only have 1 offensive rebound per half and then for us to do the job. I know we miss a lot of shots, so I get that. But to be able to accumulate those misses at the rate we did was huge. That leads to potentially having an opportunity to get fouled more too.
Pharrell was pretty limited in the first half with the 2 fouls, but just how great did he play in that second half? And you mentioned the rebounds particularly.
Yeah, similar to what we talked about when we were in Austin. I know that he didn't score at the rim at the 80 percentile that he had been, but the shots that he shot in Austin, credit to them, those were the same shots he shot tonight. I think I always mispronounce this word, but the veracity that he plays with from an offensive rebounding standpoint is tremendous. We've got to get him to the point where defensively he does the same. Like tonight, I think is the first time he had more defensive rebounds than offensive rebounds. And in our program, if you miss a bunny and get it back, we don't account that as an offensive rebound. And so some of that is when he misses. But I thought he changed the game. And I thought Coach Lyle did a really good job in how we dispersed those shots. I thought our shot selection on Saturday was tremendous. I thought our shot selection again tonight was tremendous. I didn't think that there was any confusion relative to that category. And I actually think in the second half in Oxford, I think we had some growth relative to our shot selection. And I know we're mixing and matching a little differently tonight than we typically do. We missed we missed H on a variety of reasons, but the growth of those 8 guys, I thought the rebound C-Mac got was huge. Under the rim or under the backboard, wherever that was, he's got a bright future. So I think everybody contributed that played.
Was there anything you guys did defensively against Fears to kind of hold them in check tonight?
I thought we did a good job there. I know you're not asking about Norman. We did make some changes. Coach Mosier, he may be the best combination of leader, person, coach in the country. I have so much respect for who he is and what he's done everywhere he's been. And I know that we're friends, so I'm not saying that because we're friends. I just think that the things that they do, they have 19 assists on 21 baskets, and they had, I think, 21 assists in Norman. So their staff's evaluation of their team, how they share the ball, how unselfish they are, you're constantly in rotation. And then the first thing you have to probably decide is what you're going to do with the ball screen. And obviously Zero's usage rate in the ball screen is a very high level for any player, but particularly for someone his age. And he's been, I think since we played him, he's averaging 13, 8, and 6. And since we played him, 14's averaging 20 and 8. Those two guys have just been, that's why they've won their last 2 games. And so ball screen coverage is probably part of it, but then coach your decisions on the weak side of that ball screen coverage, as you saw, that's going to lead to a high assist rate. And I thought Coach Devin's adjustments in the game and preparation going into the game and the execution, we had a fair idea that Solo wasn't going to play, and then we had zero idea that H wasn't going to play until 40 minutes before the game. So we had to make some more adjustments, but I thought those adjustments were right, but the execution of those adjustments were spot on.
When you're dominating some of the statistical categories you mentioned with rebounding and getting to the line, does that add like an extra level of assurance in a relatively close game, knowing that you guys are excelling in areas that you're built to and is sort of maybe more easily replicable?
I think that my answer, without being condescending, is that's literally the only recipe that we can follow. In Austin, we were 3 of 8 from the free throw line. We're a little better shooters from the free throw line than 37%, but we have to accumulate more than 3 free throws. We did a really good job on the defensive glass in Austin. I think our offensive rebound rate was like 39, 40%. That's pretty good. We're still number 1 in the country in that regard. Tonight's number will help. We've tried to make a concerted effort in how we're studying and how we're talking and watching and preparing for the defensive rebound percentage. But we have to bend the game mathematically on the things that you always hear me talk about, not because we're smarter than anybody else. It's actually, we're just smart enough to know that that's the only thing that we can do. And when we do those things, it at least gives us a chance. And just like you saw, even doing some of those things that are really important to us at a level that in many respects is hard to achieve, it's still a 1 and 2 possession game for 38, 39 minutes. And so like that only supports the evidence of we have to bend it that way. And if for some reason there's gaps of possessions where we don't, then we're probably not. And I actually think, without sounding sarcastic, I actually think that that's why we've played 10 2-possession games.
Beating a team once is hard enough, but how difficult is it to get a sweep in this league?
Yeah, it's so hard. I don't know if I said this on the radio show at some point. My mind is so chaotic after a game. I just try not to say anything that goes viral. But what I wanted to say is, of the 18 games, only 6 of them now are mirrors. And so I don't know that mathematically the net will be swayed because of that. But now there's 67% of your games are one-time games, and the preparation required for those 12 games is so critical because the margin's so thin. But now the strategy that goes into these mirrors, I guess we've played 5 out of the 6 mirrors already, right? And so 5 out of our 8 games thus far have been mirror opponents. When do we play LSU?
Last game,
Last game of the season.
March 8th.
Well, that doesn't even count as a mirror. That's an eternity from now.
How much does it help having Manny play the way he's been playing the last few games, just in addition to having Wade and Zurich?
Yeah, it was. I wasn't like I mentioned. I didn't know about H until Eddie mentioned it to me when I was taking the family picture. But I thought Mo was tremendous in the second half in Oxford. I know that he made the game winner, but he was playing kind of March Mo there, and everybody could kind of feel it. He was sensing it as well. I thought he was very efficient and effective in Austin as well. There's a line that's really thin for us because we're so dependent upon rebounding, and we have such a distinct plan from an offensive rebounding standpoint, but also from a defensive rebounding standpoint, that sometimes we have to be careful. H is a go-get in our program. Solo is a go-get in our program. And so how are we going to utilize those 8 guys that played meaningful minutes tonight specific to that? Because I didn't think it was going to be the numbers that they were, but I knew without the 45 minutes that those 2 guys typically give us and what they give us in addition to rebounding, how we were going to disperse those minutes were important. I wasn't sure, and I talked to Zoo and Mo maybe 5 minutes after I found out H wasn't playing, and I just said, hey, guys, I'm curious to your opinion. This is currently what I'm thinking, and we got 42 minutes to make a decision, and I'm going to make the decision, but I'd be curious to what you think. And so I thought that Zoo, I think he was averaging 6.5 points, 6.5 rebounds coming into tonight, but particularly in the first half, he executed as a go-get at a much higher rate than he has, and I think both of those offensive rebounds were in the first half, which was really good.
So with Hayden and Solo out, was it Zurich that kind of took their go-get, or would?
But Zoo is a go-get.
Okay.
It's just new to his life, and a lot of what we're talking about is new, and he's one of my favorite people ever. He's made strides, and he and I are going to start having arm wrestling contests if he doesn't start doing better. And tonight I think he did better. I'll study it tomorrow. But just the presence of, as we grade it, is not based on how many you get. It's based on the responsibility that's required of you on the rise of the shot. And I thought his go-get was much better. obviously he shoots a lot of balls too. So if he's a go-get and he shoots, he's not required to go get. But when you're playing with Mo, who's a get back, CJ's a get back, Four's a get back, I just think we have to be smart. And Andy, Henry, and Gochi covered up a lot of that, and Jace always covers. Jace is a phenomenal go-get.
You played 3 games in 7 days. Just how much is
I'm just trying to make sure that I'm speaking in complete sentences, and I do not sleep on the nights that we play, and I'm very thankful that we're off tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, how much is the maybe 1 extra day gonna be welcome before you take another?
It's
plane
like
ride?
I haven't heard anything from your question in Austin. The officials were asking me tonight. I haven't heard a word from the conference office on anything that transpired. I don't expect to. I'm not asking for that. But as I've mentioned to you guys, the flip-flop Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, that happens. But if you study some of the math behind it relative to the other 15 teams, it's happened at a very high rate for us every week. And that begins to be a lot. But the one thing about it is you play 9 at home and 9 on the road, and you're going to play every Saturday, and you're either going to play on Tuesday or Wednesday. And so in the Warriors code, there are no excuses.
Thank you.